The Drums of War, Chapter 10, Authorization. In the Senate chambers on Terra, Senator Ethan Roberts waited for his colleague to finish detailing the known intelligence gathered on the so-called Exarch Dominion. Enslaved digital sapiens, strong evidence of involuntary non-biological caste system, and clear extermination tactics. He had to keep his hackles from rising at the mention of the attempted infanticide directly in front of the ambassador by someone who styled himself acolyte, lord, something or the other. This was a thorny subject indeed. Even now, the Lost Boys and the Second Star Rapid Response Group were pushing the enemy out of Allied territory. But that was the extent of their authority without the authorization of this body. And the Interplanetary Congress, an enemy who murdered babies, couldn't just be pushed back across the border. They had to be defeated. Even still, not everyone agreed with him. Not everyone saw so clearly. The floor was given to him, and he began. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, my fellow citizens of the Republic, I stand to you today to address a grave and dire situation that has befallen our gentle civilizations and cherished neighbors. It is not merely our sovereign territory which is under threat by the Exarch, but any sapient being which draws breath within their reach. We, who have the greatest strength of all Terrans, have withheld our might against our neighbors when they stray from our ideals. Except in two impositions. We shall not suffer the extermination of populations, and we shall not allow the enslavement of even a single person. What the Exarch Dominion has wrought in the clans of Eldra can only be described as ritualistic extermination of the local populations. We must confront the fact that whoever finds themselves in their reach finds their lives in the balance. In times like these, when existence itself is in doubt for millions or perhaps billions of our civilians or our allies, we must be resolute and unyielding. We have always been a force for justice, peace, and the preservation of innocent life amongst the stars. The Second Star Rapid Response Group will follow the defense doctrine, and even now they have halted the enemy's advance into Star Council space. Yet this is insufficient. As you heard earlier, the Exarch's foul deity demands that all life be under its heel, that every sapient serve, and in most cases by dying in ritualistic slaughter. This we cannot tolerate. We must act now to put a stop to these atrocities. My fellow citizens, I do not suggest we take up a total war lightly. Indeed, I acknowledge that it is a terrible burden. But I fear that a fanatically genocidal enemy such as the Exarch appear to be will find conventional warfare unmoving. We may liberate the clans, we may drive them off, but shall we do this again and again and again, each time hoping that the Exarch will finally have learned and abandoned their gods' demands for blood? We have seen the evidence seized by the hero Aragon before his code was destroyed along with the ship he was on. We have seen the ritual murders. We have seen the orbital bombardments when they strike into our territory. What lengths shall they resort to in their pursuit of murder? Shall we wait for them to deploy radiation bombs? Shall we wait for the bioweapon attacks? The evils already done must not go unanswered. Total war authorization will cause collateral damage. We cannot and do not hold the enslaved to blame for their masters. Yet we cannot stand by and allow the knife in the enslaved fist to pierce those innocents who depend on us. To authorize total war is to acknowledge the scale of the threat we face. And more importantly, that faced by our innocent neighbors. Those who believe that we restrict ourselves to pure military targets mistake this foe for a mere adversary, a rival who needs a small correction. We must force this enemy to capitulate completely and begin the three strikes protocol, lest we slowly be dragged into a war of extermination. The simple fact is, this cannot be done without destroying not only the enemy's war-fighting material, but their war-fighting capability. We are at war, ladies and gentlemen, and while our weapons are the most terrible ever seen by mortal eyes, the enemy is undeterred. For wars are merely fought with weapons, but are won by the men holding them. To borrow some words from our ancient past, today we must rise to the occasion, united in purpose, and unflinchingly undertake what is required. We who have served know well what we are asking of those in uniform today. I also put my life on the line, as did you, for our republic. This is what we volunteered for. My fellow citizens, in this time of great peril, I implore you to stand with me, to stand as a bulwark for our weaker allies, for the fallen. Let us permit those who come behind us to act as we know they must to accomplish this dreadful duty. And may God have mercy on their souls. Remember that we sing. There was no applause, no cheers, as Senator Roberts took his seat once more, merely the solemn contemplation of the dreadful matter before them, as they contemplated their task for duty. Then Senator Malik Sober took the floor, cleared his throat, and also began, "Fellow citizens and honorable members of the Senate, I must disagree with the honorable senator, though none of who served with him could doubt his resolve, myself least of all. It is true that we cannot stand by while the Exarch invade our neighbors and allies, that we cannot let the attack on the Star Staters go unanswered. Yet, to authorize total war cannot be undone until the enemy is either surrenders unconditionally or is annihilated. This body is no stranger to such foes, but we must resist the urge to strike out in our wrath. The Exarch invaders have shown themselves to be ruthless and relentless in their pursuit of conquest. Their actions have brought suffering and devastation to our very doorstep, threatening not only our neighbors, but also the very values we hold dear. It is in times like these we must stand resolute in our commitment to our values. To authorize total war, while tempting in its strength, carries with it terrible risks. We risk the very principles that make us who we are, a just society which values the lives of the innocent. Instead, let us focus our efforts in aiding our allies and extending a helping hand to those in the Dominion who no doubt cry out under the heel of a vengeful idol. Let us recall that even now our peaceful neighbors face murder in droves, and only the Republic has the strength and the will to succor them. And Allah is my witness, this we must do. Our task is clear: to provide assistance, resources, and support to our allies in the struggle against the Exarch invasion. We must strengthen their resolve, bolster their defenses, and stand beside them as they defend their homes from this frightful foe. Our commitment to justice compels us to actions, indeed, though not in a reckless pursuit of vengeance, but in a measured and strategic manner which will not put our servicemen in a moral hazard of total war. Let it be known that we do not shirk the duty to defend. We will continue to strike at military targets, crippling the enemy's ability to wage war. However, we must recognize that victory in this war of defense will not be the end of our labors. The Exarch have slaves, billions of souls unable to choose their own destiny. Devoted they may be, but slaves they remain. Can the annihilation of such wretched creatures be called victory? How many slaves shall these priests spend before they realize they must surrender? Shall we again wipe a sapient race from the stars, and this time in the full knowledge that billions had no choice? Together we can forge a path to victory, which does not lay this terrible weight upon our loyal servicemen. Today we can ensure the safety of our people and those of our allies. Let us utilize our might to bring the Exarch to the bargaining table, and perhaps then we can secure the liberty of those beneath their priest's heel. Fellow citizens, I urge you to embrace this alternate path, this optimistic path to be sure, such that we continue to safeguard innocent lives under the sway of the blood-soaked idol. If this path proves doomed, we can yet abandon it in favor of total war. Yet, if we authorize total war today, can you bring back the dead? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and may Allah give us wisdom in the coming vote. Again, the Senator Saber took his seat once more. The Senate chambers were silent. Senator Roberts gave his friend a respectful nod. He understood where he was urging for caution came from, and he did not disdain Senator Sever's compassion. Yet Senator Roberts could see the inevitability of total war. This level of fanaticism required decisive crushing to shake its adherents out of their stupor. There were further speeches by further senators, all received in perfectly silence, until the President of the Senate called the end of deliberation, and they cast their votes. "May God have mercy on our souls as well," Senator Roberts whispered as they waited for the tally. Victory would come, and he prayed that the cost could be borne. End of chapter. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.